Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at the simple past versus the present perfect. When do we use the simple past and when do we use the present perfect? Why indeed do we need two tenses to show a completed action in the past? Well, there's a very good reason. So let's dissect the two tenses. First of all, we're going to look at the pattern of the tenses. So in the simple past, the pattern is the verb plus ed if it's a regular verb. If it's irregular, then you're really going to have to rely on your irregular verb charts, which you should all have a good copy of, and try to remember the irregular verbs. I don't envy you that task because more than 70% of all verbs in the English language are actually irregular. And so there are quite a lot to learn. The present perfect tense uses have or has plus the past participle. So in your irregular verb chart, you will normally find it will give you a verb such as fly, the past tense flew, and the past participle flown. So you will notice that in the verb to fly, it is highly irregular because all three parts are different. We have fly, we have flew, we have flown. So what do we use them for? Well, we use the simple past, as one would expect, to show a finished past action. We also use the present perfect tense to show a finished past action. The difference between the two is simply this. The simple past shows when the past action occurred, and the present perfect does not show when it occurred. So let's have a look at the timeline here. You will see in the center is the present, and on the horizontal line we have the past and we have the future. Same again, present perfect, we have the past and we have the future. So we're using the simple past for an action that is completed in the past, but the difference is we know exactly when it was completed. How do we know this? Because of time markers. We use time markers in the simple past tense, time markers like yesterday, the day before yesterday, last week, last year, last month, last century. We use ago, 2 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 1 week ago, 1 month ago. You get the idea. We use when we're joining two past sentences. Okay? So these are the time markers for the simple past. You may say, well, hang on, what's this part here if we don't know the time in the present perfect? Well, we don't use a time marker, but for emphasis, it is possible to use already, yet, still, ever, never, recently, and lately. Okay? Thing to remember with yet is that it is normally at the end of the sentence. Yeah. So let's look at some examples. She read that book last month. We know it's a finished action because she's read the book. When did she do it? Last month. So simple past. However, if we don't know exactly when she's read it, either she didn't tell me or she didn't consider it important that I know when she read it. I can say she has already read that book. Okay, no time marker given and no time marker needed. It's sufficient that we know she's already read the book. He went on a cruise last year. So we know that last year he went on a cruise. All right. Now here we can use never for emphasis. He's never been on a cruise. Okay, so never in his life has he been on a cruise. They completed their project last night. Now they're giving us a time marker that it was last night that they finished the project. However, if the time that they finished is not important, and it's more important to know that they just finished the project, then we use the present perfect. They've, which is a contraction for they have, they've completed their project. It's sufficient. We know that the project is finished, it's completed. We don't really need to know when, or it's not important to know. I didn't speak to her yesterday. Okay, so this means that she may have spoke to her the day before. She may have spoke to her today, but she didn't, or I didn't speak to her yesterday. I haven't spoken to her lately. So that means that any time in the recent past, I haven't spoken to her. I don't need to say specifically which days I didn't speak to her. It's enough that you know I haven't spoken to her lately. I may have done in the more distant past, but that's not the issue at question here. Okay, did you try wakeboarding? Now, I can only assume this wakeboarding is similar to surfboarding, but instead of maybe riding the crest of the wave, you ride it in the wake of the wave. And I would imagine that the board may be slightly smaller than a surfboard, but I'm not sure. Maybe one of you would like to put in the comment what wakeboarding exactly is. But did you try wakeboarding last summer? I'm asking that last summer, it could be when you went on holiday, did you try wakeboarding? But I can ask it using the present perfect tense, and we use this word ever. Have you ever tried wakeboarding? So I'm not interested whether you did it last summer. I want to know, in your entire life, have you ever tried wakeboarding? So we don't need a time marker, because what we're actually asking is that if in your entire life you actually did the action. There is an important thing to notice here, that if you have a paragraph with quite a few sentences and they give us a time marker in the simple past, have a look at this. We don't need a simple past time marker in every sentence if the timing is clear from the context. So, I graduated from college 2 months ago. Finished action that happened 2 months ago. I started looking for work right away. So it means that if you started looking for work right away, it was also 2 months ago. I don't need to mention 2 months ago again, because I've already mentioned it. I applied for a job at many companies. Now, when did you apply for a job? Well, when you started looking for work right away. When did that happen? Well, when you graduated 2 months ago. Again, I don't need the time marker. I applied for a job at many companies, but I didn't hear back from anyone. Luckily, I finally got a job at a great company last week. Now, something happened to the timeline, and we need to reintroduce the time marker. Why? Because we've now got an update that, yes, they finally found a job. When did I find it? Last week. So you'll see in the two sentences in the middle of the sentence, I don't need to use the time marker because it's already been stated in the first sentence. Okay, so there are some sentences here for you to complete. Gap fill. Remember, you're going to fill them in with either the simple past or the present perfect. Tip, look for time markers. They will help to tell you if it's in the simple past tense or whether it should be in the present perfect tense. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a couple of minutes. You can actually freeze the frame and complete these sentences yourself. And they should be fairly self-explanatory. If you do need an answer key, pop me a message in the comments down below, and I'll make sure I send you one. Okay, so From me, Professor Geoffrey, until next time, bye-bye.